So in the last video I talked about how I feel like I'm a spiritual imposter. I feel I'm not good enough to talk about spirituality because I'm not enlightened yet, and I'm not some Jewish grandmaster, who went up the mountain Himalayas and came back enlightened, with an enlightenment certificate in my hand. And the point, I always thought that maybe I shouldn't teach, maybe I shouldn't talk about these, and I got many positive comments. Thanks to everyone for this. So I call this the spiritual imposter syndrome. So imposter syndrome is a concept in psychology where people feel that they are not good enough or qualified enough to whatever field. Usually it's in the corporate world, but it can be in any domain where you feel that you're not good enough, and it's called imposter syndrome. So I feel the spiritual version of that. I keep feeling I'm not good enough to talk about spirituality, but I still decided to talk about it because what I find is that, like, people like me and other people I know, we are very scared. We think, oh, what are people going to think about us? And we keep quiet, or we're very shy. On the other hand, you have these extreme narcissistic types, who were very abusive towards the students, and they have no problems in promoting themselves or talking about themselves. And so we reach a situation where the only people talking about spirituality are the people least qualified to talk about it. And so I think we need to balance it out with other views and other, people's opinions. So we're looking at, the spiritual world, and there are many people like Alan Watts and Helen Schumann. Alan Watts wrote many best-selling books about Eastern spirituality. He was one of the first people who introduced Eastern, like Zen Buddhism and yoga, to the West, the philosophy behind it. And even though he wrote a lot of good books about it, he couldn't live the life. He wasn't an enlightened master himself, and he accepted that. He said, I'm teaching this, but I cannot live this high standards. And in spite of that, he still changed many people's life, and still does, because Alan Watts' books still sell today, till today. So another example is Helen Schumann, who channeled the Course in Miracles. And she also accepted that even though she was teaching these things, she couldn't live the teachings herself. So what I find is that even if you're not an enlightened Grandmaster 9000, you can still help other people based on your own struggles and the problems that you have overcome. And another inspiring example I found is that Adya Shanti's guru. Adya Shanti is a very famous spiritual writer and teacher. So he's a bestseller, but his own guru was an unknown woman. She was like a proper housewife. She lived in like a rural part of America, and she had a small house. She had many kids, and after her kids grew up, she started a meditation practice. And for the first year or two, nobody turned up. She would just sit all alone by herself. Nobody turned up, and even then, slowly people started trickling in. But most of her students never got anywhere, except for Adya Shanti. I think nobody became famous. And this woman, I can't even remember her name. She didn't write any best-selling books. She's not a world-famous guru. She is not a super famous, and yet she affected so many people directly and indirectly. Directly her students, and indirectly because of her, Adya Shanti wrote these books that inspired millions of other people. So that's what I'm finding, that you don't have to be fully 100% enlightened to help others. We all overcome struggles in our own spiritual life, and we can help others whatever state we are at, whatever level we are at. So that's me. This one went on slightly longer than I wanted. This is like the 6th or 7th video version of this video, because I kept deleting them. I had kept having spiritual imposter syndrome while recording this, but I'm not going to delete this. I'm just going to keep this. If you want to know more, I wrote a blog about it. I'll link it down below. Cheers.